27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. This is what we do, who we are.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
Boom, and welcome to Rambo and Frens. I am Joe Rambo, your host of Rambo and Frens, and I got some really cool friends here for you today. Bear with me, folks. We have a whole lot of production upgrades. I'll just say that. So, not only that, but we are on a whole new stream today. So, we're over on pill.net. It has been a while since I got to hang out with anybody on pill.net. I've been doing my best all week while I was at work to stop in there and see everybody. So I hope that people even show up over there. So we'll see. We'll find out. If you do, over on pill.net, please take that red pill. Welcome to Rambo and Frens. I'm sorry that I did 27 episodes before I finally got over there. But me and the admin at pill.net finally got together. It was my fault, not theirs. And we're finally linked up. I see all of you guys piling in over on Rumble. Please, same thing. Hit that positive affirmation button. It means the world to me. I see y'all. So Emerald Rose, Lord of the Pepe, Enoch, and I can go right up the list. I don't want to leave anybody out, but welcome. Thank you for hanging out. Let's just get into it. Me and Feisty Cat had quite a conversation yesterday. I might mess up more of my posts just so she calls me and corrects me. I can see her laughing backstage. So I made a post yesterday that Feisty Cat's research didn't align with, and so she messaged me. And when she messaged me, she started going through some facts to correct. You know what? Let's just bring her on first so we can have this discussion. But first and foremost, let's hear from Trump.
I wouldn't miss a chance to talk to my friends. These are my friends.
I'm so proud of myself right now. Feisty Cat, Sarge, what's up, Feisty? How are you first? You're muted.
I am muted, but I am not now. It is pretty awesome. You got all that new soundboard up and you're over on Red Pill. You're a real person.
Yep. Yeah. Sarge, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on, brother? Glad to see you made the glad to see you made the upgrades.
Yes.
Better
Yeah,
better mic this time.
Look. Does that make you feel good?
There you go.
No.
Now you can turn your head when you talk.
All right. I can turn my head when I talk. I can pause because we got sound in the interim between thoughts. We can turn that down so we can get back to the main stuff.
Like you have an in-between thought.
Well, that was part of the problem. I'm like, look, the little bit of schooling I had on radio, which I did before I decided that heroin was way more important than the rest of the world. Radio was my passion. I loved it. I loved Opie and Anthony. Don't chastise me. I didn't really like Howard Stern, but I listened to him because he was very good at his craft, right?
Mm.
But Opie and Anthony were his competitors. I loved them. I loved shock jock type radio. I loved Mad Cow and Imus, right? Like really good talk radio guys that were mainstream. That's what I listened to because I drove a truck for 10 years. So to be able to be put in this position, aside from the movement, means everything to me. It's like a second chance at my dream, even after screwing up and throwing my whole life away. So all these toys that I'm now getting and being able to play with, it's like something I really, really wanted to do when I was 20. So I don't know.
Amen.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
Even after screwing up and throwing your whole life away, maybe the screwing up and throwing your life away is what brought you back around to saying this is what matters more, and you take it a little more seriously. That moment of growth. Don't forget, it's part of your design future, right?
Yeah.
Let me interject there for a minute. I was talking to QAG before the show, and we're kind of talking about life experiences, and we all have our own version of hell that we walk through, right? And it literally shapes us and causes us to be resilient, because either we succumb to it or we come out on the other side of better people. So that's where you are now. So looking back on where you were, you can probably say, okay, well, nothing in this life will ever bring me down like that ever again. So you've built yourself up with some pretty good armor there.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we've been able to affirm you a little bit, but please don't discount the growth that happened during that period. Because you're different today than you were before that.
I don't want to make the show about this, but I'll say one more thing before we get off it. I am aware of everything you guys are saying. I've thought about it before. I've been given the same positive affirmations about it. It means the world. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God and my process and all that stuff. So I'm grateful and I'm aware. It's cool to hear you guys say it too. Thank you. But yeah, I think you're
experience, Joe. Trust me, we've all had to face it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, now that we're in this position and we got all this funny, really cool, awesome, amazing equipment, and we're getting to hang out, I'm super stoked to see you both. Sarge, it's always really cool to hang out with you. Feisty, I always get my mind blown every time that you and I hang out or talk. Do you want to touch on first and foremost what I was getting at? So I made a post yesterday about Julian Assange is kind of where it started. And that was because of what happened early on this week. So Julian Assange, for anybody that isn't aware, was basically granted the ability to, appeal his extradition to the United States. It's kind of a big deal. For anybody also that doesn't know, Donald Trump has one time claimed that he didn't know anything about WikiLeaks, which is very funny because he then went on for about, 1,700 times and used WikiLeaks against Hillary Clinton and John Podesta and everyone else that's within the WikiLeaks drops, leading up specifically to the 2016 election. So in my post, I started to connect some things because people believe that Seth Rich was murdered by MS-13. Well, I'm a type of dude that takes all those things we learned and tries not to forget them. I typically present them that way so that people that are newly awakened can see the stuff that we all know, right? Well, Seth Rich, being believed to be killed by MS-13, sent a light bulb off my head. And I'm thinking, oh, well, Katie Hobbs, what happened to that story? Katie Hobbs was accused of racketeering in association with MS-13. And then her medical boot showed up and and the whole story disappeared. Right. And we might as well be talking about spy balloons, right? So I made this post and I said something that Feisty disagreed with. And I want to hear your side after I say this, Feisty. But what I said was that I believe 2016 might have been the sting, right? So Okay, so I see your head shake. Go ahead, take over.
Okay, so if you go through the timeline, 2016, they knew what was going to happen because of a post that had been put out on Twitter about New Fort Pumper, Virginia. It became a Q post in January of 2018. An email from Todd McLear talking about changing the vote. But that actual Q post is a truncated post that was actually put out on Twitter in 2016. That post is when they said, okay, we know they're going to do something. And they were able to protect the battleground states because of that information. But the actual sting, if you look at it, this is a major RICO. A RICO is, you can't just one off a RICO, right? You have to show a pattern in practice. You have to show the likeliness of continuing illegalities, right? So what they did was in 2018, if you go back to the Q post, the 2018 midterm, Q specifically said the Senate was the target. Why did they want the House? Well, they wanted to end the investigations in the House. And then Trump tweets out about, hey, be careful about investigating me. We can investigate you in return. And you start to see this chain of events start to happen where come 2019, we find out about the firmware being corrupted in 16 states for the voting machines. And then, of course, 2020, they take all of the safeties off and they let them do what would become the pattern in practice. We watch all 50 states get stolen, right down to the dog catcher.
Sarge, do you want to say something on top of that before I ask a question?
Ask your question.
Okay. So you and I had this conversation leading into what happened with the whole Q snatch thing yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably going to repeat some questions to you just so maybe that other people can get clarification. And because I'm still not also completely clear.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rich, if you believe the story that most in this movement do, was murdered because I'm sorry?
We know about the two MS-13 guys in, what was it, Georgia, South Carolina?
But what was the information he was murdered for? He was murdered for exposing that the DNC
but that
rigged.
was intentional, by the way. What they did was they removed the firewall between the two campaigns. Seth Rich was a Bernie bro. He saw what they were doing on the Clinton side of the campaign. And that's when, take it from there. What did Julian Assange tell us? That, he got it from a young man, right? So we all pretty much intuitively know that it was Seth Rich gave him a thumb drive or a hard drive with that data that showed how they were going to steal the election.
Okay. What I'm getting at with that question is Seth Rich became a whistleblower through WikiLeaks.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me, I obviously can't prove this, but the way Donald Trump used WikiLeaks, it almost seemed like they had a back door. It almost seemed like they influenced it. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you know the story behind the WikiLeaks domain?
No, please tell me.
That domain was purchased in 1996. It was 10 years before he used it.
Okay, so that fuels my question.
Wait. Let me add to that. He was brought to the U.S. after hacking into our missile defense system. At Sandusky, he was showing our government how he did that. He got in through the fax machine. It was that same summer that the WikiLeaks domain was purchased.
Can you see why I start to think that the sting operation goes further back than 2020?
It goes back into the 80s. They had a plan.
Well, why then would 2016 not be?
It's not the actual sting. The sting is the 2020.
Okay, so maybe I should have worded my post differently.
Yeah.
When I said the sting, I should have said the beginning of.
Yes, it was the beginning of the end.
Okay.
Because the 2020, remember, the Supreme Court has been pretty pretty solid on what they consider a RICO event. It's two or more people in a conspiracy, but they're not tangential relationships. They're not happenstance, right? You've got to show the pattern and practice of the people working together, the continuing likeliness of criminality, all of that. They've got to show the series of events. So if you know what they're going to do, you can watch what they do in 16. You can watch them take the House in 18. In 2020, that's the payload. That's the mother load of all the data. They released all the safeties, let them take it right down to the dog catcher. And what did Mary Fanning say? We've got the data down to the MAC addresses. That came out in the video, absolute proof. And that was in 2021, April of 2021. So the 2020 cycle is important to the story because that's irrefutable now. You've got several years of watching them do just this. And now you've got the payload.
2022.
2022 was again stolen, yes. But they got the
2018.
2018, the house was stolen.
Yep.
2019, you have 16 states having a gubernatorial where they upgraded the firmware. And that's where Q-Snatch gets into the system again. They were telling you about it. They're still talking about Q-Snatch. So what is that about? Well, it's a malware that went in and it would release a GET request. And that GET request, once it got what it was looking for, it would upload the malicious activity it was looking for. And so this is what that soundbite meant when it said, you look for the GET request, you know you've got a compromised system, you just sit back and watch.
Okay, Feisty, hold on, because I think I'm going to tease it for everybody. I think what you just did right now is the perfect tease. We love on this show to first and foremost look at Donald Trump also teasing things.
Right.
So I want to play a few things from his speech yesterday, get your guys' reaction, and then I want to dive deep into what you're talking about. Is that cool?
Fine.
All right.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I don't know if anybody even picked up on this one because it was before Donald Trump spoke. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Right before Donald Trump spoke. It was fabulous.
Look, RSBN is not mainstream media. They are more conservative. Let's just be real. They're not exactly CNN. However, there's no way that you should be able to say something like this on television. There's no way. Let's take a listen.
Come on, turn around here. All right, next guy. Let me see that shirt real quick. 45 and 47. You know, we should at 46, if you know what I mean. Hey, what's your name? Don't forget, fireaoc.com. There you go.
That's right.
What are your thoughts about this place, man?
I love it.
What the?
You know, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
He's been watching Trump, how you say something, and then you just move right along, steamroll right past it. That made my day when I saw that. That's not the first RSBN guy to say something interesting like that. You guys have heard other ones, right?
Right.
Yeah, they do it all the time. The one time he said Joe Biden's not president. That was an interesting one. So let's see. I can pull. So there was probably, I don't know, 20 repeat comms that came out last night in New York City, in the Bronx, with a crowd full of mostly Hispanic, mostly Black, mostly minority groups, right? In the Bronx, New York City, the Big Apple. Now I get it. Donald Trump's from there.
Part of the Bronx, by the way.
I'm sorry?
Not just any part of the Bronx, by the way.
Was it the hood?
You're talking deep into the hood.
If we can get Donald Trump to stop by Kensington.
Right. There you go.
All right. So I just got two of them, and then we'll move on to the deep stuff that you got to talk about. But here's the two that I posted, and there's even more. Do you know Donald Trump talked about Hillary wanting to break the glass ceiling, and we didn't let her? That was a weird one, right? What, Sarge, do you have thoughts on that? Why did he say that?
Can you repeat that question?
Did you hear Trump talk about the glass ceiling last night? He talked about Hillary
No,
Clinton. Hillary
no,
Clinton
I didn't.
talking.
I
I
didn't
wish
listen
that,
to the entire speech. I
bro.
saw parts of it.
Feisty, did you see that one?
Yes, I saw it. Remember, he's talking about a building he built. It's got a glass ceiling, and she was going to break the glass ceiling that night when she accepted the win. We didn't let her do it. So go back to the 2016 and protecting the battleground states. It's right there.
It really is. It's right in everybody's faces. I invited so many black pillars to watch today's show. That was literally what I did yesterday. I'm like, I know you won't come, but if you're gonna come on to my page, if you're gonna come on my page and talk all this shit like we don't have any evidence, or people aren't well researched and they don't know what they're talking about, and we're selling hopium, then I'm gonna invite you to something you won't come to, but I hope you do. Come to the show and listen, because we're not just making things up. This isn't a story. Nobody's out here just grifting. I'm not trying to sell you crypto scams from India. Like, I don't give a crap.
Oh, so you mean what about the Nigerian ones?
How much dinar did you buy?
None.
Wait, you're not talking about Nasara Jasara and the coming crash?
I was waking up tomorrow and all my credit cards being emptied.
I slept in a med bed last night. All right, you ready? Here's the two I did record while I was driving to my son's lacrosse party.
We're going to make you very, very happy. And Biden can't do it. He doesn't know he's alive. See all the stairs here? Stair, two of them behind me, one in the middle. When he's finished with his 2.5 minute, do you ever watch his speech? They last for about 1.5 minutes. When he's finished with his speech, he can never find the stairs. We're going to make you very, very...
So, again...
You missed the best part. He said you fall down, not upstairs.
For anybody that isn't aware, Donald Trump does not live in a bubble. As a matter of fact, he has a whole team, including somebody like Dan Scavino, that is well aware of what gets shared on social media.
Right.
I am not insane to say that my post, that is my pinned post, which now has 30 million views of the pause, is not a secret from Donald Trump. I've never spoken to Donald Trump. I will never probably be close enough in his circle to speak to Donald Trump. I don't think I'm anything special. What I'm getting at is they know what's happening on social media. When Donald Trump says something like Joe Biden does not know he's alive, he knows that we've posted what we believe that he's saying. He knows about the earlobes. He knows about the balls on the chin. He knows all of these things. So Donald Trump says these things to, first and foremost, go viral and use your discernment. Is he just feeding the flames, or is he giving you a hint at what's really happening? I believe, before you guys comment on this, that it aligns way too closely with the drops. It aligns way too closely with the pause clip that I just referenced, and it aligns way too much with what we're seeing. How come everything that's a hot button talking point is provably a psyop? It all shows me exactly what the drop said. People had to be shown, not told. And I can't unsee it anymore.
Yep.
And early on in the post, he also said it is our hope that there's enough people here that could make a meaningful impact. And I think if you read the rest of the post, it's about, when shit starts hitting the fan, hopefully there's enough of you to help calm people down as we move forward. The storm has been pretty hard on everybody, right? And you needed some kind of a reasoned thought about what we're going through and how we're handling it.
Yeah, it's been painful.
It's been very.
I think a lot of the challenge has been the discernment, and so it's almost like the past 7 years have been like boot camp for all of us, right? Because we're introduced to a lot of information, and we have to go through and try and decide what's fact and fiction.
I said in August of 2020, you were ready. They're going to fight, but you're ready.
Yep.
So yeah, we were in a boot camp. We were in a training, not just to understand the Q post, but to do that organic research and to understand the backstory, how we got from point A to point B, what the storm meant. I think all of that is a part of this. And now we're at a point where I think we're being allowed to talk about it out loud. I mean, my God, PD 51 gets put up in a post. Was that just an accident? No.
Yep.
This is hard. This is hard to say. I won't bring up what we talked about before the show because, like, more than I just brought it up.
You already did.
Right. So, but what I'm saying, what I'm going to try to get with is there's some other things that coincide.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we've made a lot of relationships in this movie. I'm newer to these relationships than a lot of you guys. You guys have been doing it longer than I have. But I am seeing that certain players that would be considered much closer to the tip of the spear than the rest of us digital soldiers or whatever you might want to call us are starting to do things like hat tip and wink. And I'm talking about big players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's no other reason for that except for that we are here. Like, we are at the moment where everyone said, why is it taking so long? Nothing's happening. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And now all of the research that we've done that's been discredited because the operation took longer than like your feelings allowed it to take in your head. We're at this moment and it's about to pop. It is legitimately, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing in those relationships and what I'm seeing in the news cycle and what I'm seeing Donald Trump do, it's about to pop and explode in everybody's faces. And I don't feel like I'm date fagging to say that. I legitimately feel that.
Trump did a rally, what was it, in the end of August or so, where he said we had hoped it would get done a little sooner. So something delayed, right? And it reminded me of what I call his speed tweets from September of 2018, where he said our allies called and basically said they weren't ready for D-class of the Russia docs. And he said, that's fine, but speed is important to me. So take it from 2018 to August of 2023 when he said we had hoped it would get done a little sooner. So, we've got to move with the flow here. And what I keep reminding everybody, at least in my chat room, for us, it's been hard, but we've only been in this, 6 years, the best, right? Almost 7. Imagine we can go back to at least the 80s with this plan. Imagine the people, there's really good people in government that have been doing this from that time. And remember the Q post, those that know can't sleep. Can you imagine 40 years plus of playing along in this plan, trying to unravel everything? Do you think maybe they deserve to be a little more tired than us?
Yeah, it's an exhausting journey. I look at you, Feisty, and you've been researching for over a couple decades, right?
Several decades. I started really digging in the late 90s, but really it took a different turn for me starting in 2008 from personal things I went through. But so I built on what I researched in the 90s, and then in 2008, I just started down this path. Thank God for Q, because he kind of took off my list a bunch of rabbit holes that I thought I would go through. but yeah, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm with everybody. I'm tired too, but I step back. I'm an overweight, overaged woman sitting here behind a keyboard, way too much time on her hands, reading a lot of crap. I don't deserve to say I'm tired, right?
Yeah.
All that self-deprecation is adorable. No, I want to say this to both of you. I thank God, as somebody that was newer to the movement than both of you, and most of the people that I have on the show. Thank God for your persistence and your vigilance, because you guys were right, and we're seeing it now.
That's cool. But yeah.
You guys were right, and people like me and so many that watch the show saw it and built off of it. I'm so grateful for the ground you guys laid before us that it's unbelievable. Like, it's unreal. Go ahead,
Sure,
Sarge.
I feel good at this stage to be able to say over the target. It really feels good, because you wonder, you're doing all this research, and whether people agree with you or not, you're constantly questioning yourself. Did I see that right? You go back and you look at your research, try to update it, and you keep coming to the same conclusion. And then suddenly, like that, you get something in the public that verifies everything you thought you saw. It feels pretty good to have been on the right path.
Sarge, I cut you off. Do you want to say something?
No, I was just listening to Feisty. But no, I mean, I'm kind of with Feisty. You know, our biggest challenge is that we didn't know the timeline, right? And so, we saw the Q drops. We thought everything was going to be happening in real time. And then 2020 rolls around. We lose the election. Then there's J6, and then Biden gets inaugurated, and a lot of people started reflecting on what they thought they knew, and many of them took the black pill and said, "Oh, this is all crap," But then, some of us went back and started rereading some of the Q drops, and they started to read differently, like the words have been transformed, before our very eyes. And and I'm not one to cling to to everything Q says is like ground truth, but when I do see events, I do go back and look to see if there's any correlation to what Q previously said, because there have been a lot of times where Q was right about about specific events, and then there are a lot of times where messages were created for misdirection. So
but still, even in this direction, there was an element of right.
Yeah.
When you start to unravel it, it's like
Yep. Exactly.
I think that's the most important one.
Yeah, I remember telling you that last fall, the next 6 years, which puts us, if you look at the date, to July 9th of 2025.
Yep.
Would be the 6-year delta.
This drop to me may be in the top 5 most important things that Q ever posted. I'm just throwing a number out there, but it's in the top group of posts. When this dropped, I was watching all of you guys. I don't think a whole lot of people grasped what it meant.
No, we didn't.
And
because my worldview on Q started to change was when that drop came, because it was in the summer of 2019 with Zelensky and what was going on in the new court that was set up in Ukraine, the Epstein story. That post is right in that time frame, and I'm going, okay, it wasn't in real time, because right there at the bottom it says pre-planned Patriots in control. So we were following a path. And it was at that point where you're watching a movie started to make sense. For me, anyway.
Go ahead, Sarge.
Oh, and that drop was the reminder for all of us after the inauguration that hey, we have to, we've got to buckle in, because we're in this for the long haul.
Right.
We're going to have to tolerate this current administration and just sit back and watch. And but then that's when things started to make sense, that the only way is to show them, right? So
January 30th,
kind of clear.
2021, we've been in a show and tell.
Yeah.
And I believe that Trump's words have made these types of drops clearer and clearer every damn time he speaks.
Yeah.
That pause one, it's always going to be my favorite. I'm always going to talk about it. I don't care. But he straight up says,
should have straight up says, if you know what I mean.
What's that?
Should have had 46, if you know what I mean.
Yes, right. I mean, at this point, come on. I know I'm repeating stuff I say all the time, but it's so pertinent that I don't know how we don't. We're sort of in my second term right now.
It's not speculative, right?
It's not. We're sort of in my second term right now. We just don't want the results of this term, right? Because we're getting.
How do you make America great again? You got to build it back better. How do you build back better? You got to take it all down.
And what do you do after war to steal from you?
Rebuild. What did he talk about last night in the Bronx? Rebuilding New York City, an epicenter of World War III, right?
Yeah, so which tells you that you don't start talking about rebuilding until you're almost done.
Or done, right?
Yep.
Listen to this. This is so funny.
As I did just a short while ago. Think of it. You know, when I went down to Washington, I was only there 17 times. I never stayed over. I didn't know that society. And we had great people. Look at what we did with economic development, with the rebuilding of our military, with the tax cuts, we had great people. But we also had some people that I wouldn't have used if I had my choice.
Look, again, I'm going to say that anybody who thinks that was a coincidence and Donald Trump doesn't know what's happening on social media is fooling themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love how he interjects the 17. He said that many times, been to DC 17 times, but he uses many opportunities to interject the 17, and especially a lot more lately. Because he knows people are going 17, right? Every time we see something, what did it come out? Was it yesterday? The number of migrants coming across the border is 17 million. I mean, it's so much right there. The pattern is so there. I don't know how much more obvious it needs to get.
I'm trying to find the clip where Donald Trump's the compilation of him saying 17 like 117 times. I don't have it. I'm not going to look for it.
I'm glad he talked about his uncle yesterday, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, talk about that.
Well, John Trump, Donald Trump, his nephew, always saw his Uncle John as the smartest man he ever knew. A very long-serving professor at MIT, a brilliant mind scientifically, mathematically. He was hired by the U.S. government to review the Tesla documents. And what's really key about all of that is when John Trump died, Donald Trump was the first to the apartment, and the little black book that John Trump kept disappeared. So I've always said, I bet you Donald Trump has it. And then we get Tesla. Who can doubt that Elon Musk is a part of the unraveling?
Yeah, without
the PayPal mafia, if you will.
Can I play one more that's fun before we dig? I forgot about this. It just came up on my phone while I was looking for Donald Trump. Okay, so this is I don't know if you guys ever saw this, but I have. I've seen this because I was a huge Price is Right fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and my brother would literally pretend to be sick so he could watch Bob Barker. And like he loved Bob Barker. That's the truth. Oh, where'd Sarge go? Hold on. Sarge, you always end up losing your avatar when that happens.
Yeah. It glitched.
Yeah, that happened last time too. So this is an old viral clip. Feisty, do you know what clip I'm about to play?
I believe so.
Okay. When I saw this 10 years ago, or whatever it was, I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, man, that guy's really weird, and this is really cool clip, right? I thought it was awesome. And it popped back up on my phone for some reason. And when I watch it now, with the perspective I have today,
it changes.
All red flags were flying. First and foremost, it's in North Carolina. Less than 2.5 hours from where Fort Pog is based at Fort Bragg. Second, the first price that's given is $1,700, and the last price that's given At the
Mhm.
end of the clip is also he makes $1,700. Not only that, but this dude is so obviously autistic that I don't know how to explain it any other way. So when I watch this, in hindsight, very odd clip, all of a sudden I'm going, oh my God, I think the ghost in the machine has been talking to us the whole time.
Mhm.
So I'm going to play it. I want you guys to tell me if I'm crazy. You ready?
You are. But
The lovely Shane has for you folks to bid on. It's a fun new motor scooter. A motor scooter from Honda. The
Oh no.
oh
Oh no. Come on, Twitter.
no, spooling.
Hold on. So let me take this second while it's doing that to say, your boy Death said, "Oh snap, Rambo's on Foxhole." Yes, your boy Death. Thank you very much for what'd you throw up there? Is that cookie for the cookie? Thank you very much. And Patriots of Flight, thank you very much for the cookie. Yes, we're on Foxhole. Yes, we're upgrading production, and yes, we're having a blast. Whatever platform you are on right now, there's almost 700 watching on Twitter. If you guys could share the show out, if you're over on Rumble, hit that thumbs up. 245 of you. Thank you very much for being here. And yes, Foxhole, for the first time, we are back. Hit that red pill, and I appreciate the gold pills, guys. You have no idea because we're trying to get this thing up and running. Let's see if this works.
Elite 80 with its 80cc four-cycle engine. It has plenty of power and is easy to handle for a super fun ride. And you get to bid on this first, Barbara.
$1,700.
$1,700, Michael.
Exactly, $2,148.
His bid is $2,148. That's an interesting bid. How did you settle on $2,148?
I seen that on there last week, and that was the exact price. I know that's what it is. I watch you every day. I watch you every day, Bob.
Now, you were laughing and you didn't hear what else he said. He says he watches every day. Now, if he wins this, you'll see that loyalty to this show paid off. What do you bid, Scott? Why bid it all? He has the exact price.
Well, what are the bids so far?
The bids so far are $1,700 and $2,148.
$1,800.
$1,800, Noel.
$1,500.
$1,500 for her. Now,
Oh my goodness.
wait a minute here. Michael is already leaping around down there. He says he's got it. Now, we'll just find out whether you got it or not. We have a lot of scooters, you know. First number is 2.
Am I a dick for thinking of Enoch?
$2,148. You got it exactly. You got it exactly right. You got it exactly right.
I've waited 31 years for this moment. It's an honor, sir.
Well, it's an honor to have you on the show, and thank you for your loyalty, and I'm delighted that you got that price exactly right.
The movement. That's Donald
Oh,
Trump.
it's $500.
Where's
That's
the
right.
$500?
Let's not forget that.
What?
Let's not forget that.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. You see, I was so excited about your answer and everything that I just temporarily forgot. Would you settle for 4?
Well, you can owe me one.
No, I don't want to owe you one. I want to give you all 5, and I want to give you all of this as well.
A lovely table with side chairs, an elegant grandfather clock, and an electric fireplace. First, Michael, this lovely three-piece group consists of a dining table with octagonal pedestal base, together with 2 cabriole leg side chairs from C&J Custom Furniture. Next, an elegant grandfather clock from Ridgeway Clocks. This elegant grandfather clock from their Alexandria collection has a cherry finish with an exquisite cabinet and beveled glass from Ridgeway Clocks. Finally, a charming electric fireplace. The Symphony electric fireplace from Dimplex with its oak mantle and slimline polished brass trim. It's truly the fireplace for any place from Dimplex, North America.
Now, his loyalty goes even beyond what we might have imagined. You live where?
Statesville, North Carolina.
And
2.5 hours from
Me and a
Fort
friend of
Park.
mine, we flew out here yesterday.
just for the
Just
show.
for the show and flying back tomorrow.
You are a loyal friend and true. Now, I don't have to tell you how to play this.
Now, hold on. I'm going to say this. I know that he's 2.5 hours from 4POG because I've been watching CBS 17, which is the airing station for 4POG. It's their local station. And I think that CBS 17 is 4POG. I do. At this point, I've been watching that they are playing. They have a city named Durham. They have a city named Wake, or a county, I'm sorry. And they've been doing nothing but throwing comms at us this whole time. I've shown it before on the show. Hillary Clinton at the 9/11 memorial, they're the only ones that put a spotlight on Hillary when she's being drugged into and shown multiple times into that van. CBS 17 and 4POG. You're muted, Feisty.
So, but you very conveniently forgot Highway 17 in 23 counties.
Yep.
I love that there's more.
That's just happenstance, right?
Well, the Kraken's also from there.
You right?
Yep.
Okay. Now watch the end of this.
Game, but let me just remind any viewer who hasn't seen it recently.
Oh, stupid spinning. Is that me? Because I did that. Look what we can do. Production value is going up while it spins. I'm not sure why it's doing it. Did it go all the way back to the beginning? Sure hope not. Bear with me, friends. Let's see what happens. Oh no. That stinks. I shouldn't have stopped it.
4POG just took the stream down.
Yeah, did we just get caught? Did we just get caught?
That's what Circle of One just said.
It's not even pausing. Let's do that. All right, I'll try to pull that back up to finish it because I don't understand why my left screen is doing that. It's getting all funky. But let me turn that coffee music down and see if you guys have thoughts before. As soon as this comes back up, I'll figure it out. It's super weird, right?
Yeah, well, it could be networking problems because your video is buffering too. But
Buy the clock.
And sell the fireplace.
Sell the fireplace at $26.50. All right. Now you know the story.
Sir.
If you make a few dollars, you get the money and all three prizes. 1975. Buy. What's the price? Goodbye. You made $300. $300. And we go to the clock. 25.75. Buy. The price is. You got another $500. Now you're up to $800 profit.
I was hoping I would know you money at the end of the game.
You were hoping what?
I would know you money at the end of the
No,
game.
you don't owe us money unless you lose more than $800 on this.
That's $21.50.
You know, this guy makes me feel completely useless up here.
No, there'll always be a use for you, Bob.
Well, yeah, don't tell me what it is.
Oh.
Michael, there will be no one more disappointed than I if you don't make a lot of money on this. Fireplace, $26.50. Sell. What's the price? $17.50. He made $900. You've won $1,700.
oh, jeez.
You won all three prizes. Is that the biggest winner ever in this? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the biggest cash winner ever in this game, and he deserves it. And we'll have our first showcase showdown after this message.
Can somebody tell me, did 4POG know that they were going to use Altus? This was like 1990.
Yeah, that guy's like Rain Man.
So funny. Somebody said it's my internet speed. Well then, who the hell do I use for internet? They need to F off because I pay for like the fastest thing you can get so that doesn't happen on the show. So maybe it's my computer.
You're starting to lag.
I'll have to not call out 4POG so much, I think. I don't know. I don't know.
Turn it down a little bit.
let me thank these people, and then we'll get into the dig, Feisty and Sarge.
Okay.
So, for Blake, gifted $20. Another amazing show. Love y'all from Texas. Thank you very much. And I saw Matrix Codebreaker gifted a can. Someone say autistic, autist. I see in kill brackets. LOL. Sup, Rambo. Sup, Matrix Codebreaker. It's good to see everybody again. If you could hit that positive affirmation, the red pill over on pill.net. Thumbs up on Rumble, thumbs up on YouTube, and over on X. Share the show out. Hit the little heart, John, and I'll be happy. All right, Feisty. I teased it at the beginning. We went through that fun stuff. Do you want to get into what it is we were talking about with this Q snatch?
No, I decided I don't feel like it.
Too bad. I'm bringing it up anyway. First of all, Snow was the one that made that joke. There is no Q snatch. There's only Q and there's snatch. It was really funny. Snow deserves that. That was.
No, I one of the things that's important to know, first of all, I think we can collectively agree that this has been going on for a lot longer than 6 years, right? So
Yes.
one of the things that got me as I started putting the timeline together, because I like building timelines, is it kept giving me data points from before the timeline I started. So I had to keep going backwards. And I'm just going to give the little snippets. It's just a summary because there's a lot more, but starting with the crash in 2008. It was interesting to me because Congress was scared and immediately passed 2 major bailout bills. And so I thought, okay, let's start there. In 2009, you have Bitcoin introduced. And as a point of reference, SHA-256, which is an encryption piece, right? SHA-256 is used in Bitcoin for verifying transactions. So keep coming forward, 2011, we find out that the Vatican entered the Interpol network. That's, if you remember the Q post from November 5th, 2017, we've got the owl. I'm sorry. No, I'm at the wrong date. But remember the owl post, and it says Pope's personal bodyguard. Well, that's Domenico Gianni, who was part of the Italian, essentially their secret service. He was hired by the Vatican in 2004, and he became the personal bodyguard to Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict, and Pope Francis. He resigned in October of 2019, which is a pretty big deal. There's a lot more to that story. But anyway, they enter into the Interpol network. What that did was it immediately opened up the Vatican archives for investigatory reasons. And it's notable because Pope Francis has never lived in the papal residence, which is in the castle, right? Which is where the Vatican archives are. He's always lived in the residence building on St. Peter's Square. So there's a big space there. But anyway, that's 2011. We're in, 2008 rather, when they entered into the Interpol network, which means they're a part of the international investigation that's going on in 2011, which is under Pope Benedict. They started negotiating a contract with Egmont Financial Services Group, which is an international group whose sole purpose in life is to chase money laundering. And so they entered into this, or they started negotiating the contract. I love the date. I have to tell you the date. April 1st, 2011 is when they started negotiating the contract. Love the date. But that contract didn't go live until July 4th, 2013. Interesting date again, where Egmont now is at the Vatican doing the actual audits of the Vatican Bank. But follow me with this, because it's not about the Vatican, but it's a part of the story. So if you remember, Snowden leaked the NSA stuff, right, in April, May of 2013. And then, of course, the contract goes live at the Vatican in July of 2013. What's interesting is Deltec Bank begins in October of 2013. So what had happened? Well, the Vatican Bank it's not really a bank. It was a fund for institution of religious works, right? It was a fund that they used that money for the poor, but because it was not a part of the banking system, because it wasn't audited on a regular basis, it became the bank of choice. They started opening up accounts for money laundering. And when that money laundering ended, they then started going through this Deltec Bank, which is where Bitcoin comes in, which is why I mentioned Bitcoin spins up in 2009. The SHA-256 is important because it's a part of the encryption. But keep that in mind, because now we can't launder through the bank. We're laundering through digital, right? The Deltec Bank. So in 2014, we then find out about QSnatch. And this is just months after Deltec Bank opens up, and QSnatch again is an encryption. What's the word I want? It's.
Well, hold on. Can I sidebar you?
Yeah.
So you just got to this QSnatch part. This is the only public recognition I could find, because I'm a very visual guy, right? You're super good at digging, and I'm very, as you can tell the way I post, I'm all videos because that's the way I learn. This is the only public version of a clip I could find that acknowledged it. So let's play this first and then let you go ahead. That's cool.
Okay.
Security and the integrity of the vote, you are being lied to. The biggest lie of all is that somehow our state's voting systems are not connected to the internet. We hear them say this all the time. Now, that may be true for the individual machines. It may not be, by the way, but it is certainly not true for all of the state and county databases. In fact, it's an absolute myth that it's not connected to the internet. Your votes, in many cases, are being stored on a server in Frankfurt, Germany. Cybersecurity investigators tell me they can prove the nation's largest provider of election software, a system used in 28 states, not only uses servers in Germany, but it's also possibly infected by a malware called QSnatch. Investigators at Allied Security Operations based in Dallas tell me that they have found malware embedded in the software source code, which could be responsible for everything we're seeing right now. If that's true, even the nation's cybersecurity agency, CISA, warns QSnatch would allow hackers to find everything.
Hold on, I gotta stop. That's ridiculously funny.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
it was first spotted in 2019.
Yeah, it was. If you go backwards on that one, so QSnatch came on the scene in 2014, and it was very active until about the middle of 2017. Hint, hint, hint. Remember, they protected the battleground states, and I'll get into that. I'm not saying QSnatch is developed by white hats, but I am saying it's playing a very close parallel as to what's going on here. So it was active until 2017. It reemerges in 2018 through 2019. In 2019, all of the election software, election machines in 16 states had a firmware upgrade that had QSnatch in it in 2019. Those 16 states had a gubernatorial that year. So now we've got a firmware in 2019. Now let's talk about QSnatch. That's that second clip you've got. Can you play that one?
Yes. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, let's go here. Ah, shoot. Where did I put it? Here it is.
QNAP, Network Attached Storage Devices, which is currently infecting thousands of QNAP devices. The National Cybersecurity Center of Finland published a report on the QSnatch malware about a year ago. The report from the National Cybersecurity Center states, the original infection remains unknown, but during that phase, malicious code is injected to the firmware of the target system, and the code is then run as part of normal operations within the device. After this, the device has been compromised. The malware uses domain generation algorithms to retrieve more malicious code from C2 servers. So by monitoring the network for outbound traffic from the QNAP device, you can look for an HTTP GET request accessing HTTPS on a generated server address and accessing the QNAP_firmware.xml address with a timestamp, would likely indicate a compromised device.
And we've got the data right down to the MAC address.
Such malware injects malware into the firmware on QNAP storage devices and stays persistent even through reboots as the malware loads up as part of the firmware.
Mm-hmm.
The malware disables updates on QNAP by completely overriding the sources completely. It also disables any attempt of starting the QNAP malware remover app.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Some of these comments are so funny. Q Snatch, I think I had that once. There's so many good comments. Sorry.
So,
This is about the.
Though, all you have to do is sit back, watch for the GET request, and just watch them do whatever they're going to do. I sent you the CISA stuff that showed you what it was doing, right? The taking the credentials, changing the passwords, but it also was going after the web protocol. What is oh come on, the remote access web shell.
That's
So
mistake.
Directly to the ability to gain remote access into these machines because it told the system to give or use remote access. So if you've got a QNAP enabled device, which these machines are, how many times do we have to prove it? It's in Dominion's own documentation. So you got these devices that are now maliciously scraping data. All you have to do is sit back and collect what they're scraping. You can mirror the device, right? So now we've got this server in Germany with all of it. And 2 days after the election or 3 days after the election, they go and get the server. Done. 2020 was the actual kaboom.
Now, something to point out too. For all the people, that have previously said that our machines are not connected to the internet. Well, so QSNAC targets NAS devices. Okay, so what are NAS devices? Network attached storage.
Hello.
Right. So yes. So if you're running an election, you're probably going to have all those election devices pulling to a single NAS device, right, to maintain your database.
Mm-hmm.
Won't you compromise?
Right? Do you think each precinct downloads its own poll book? No.
Can I go out on a limb here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add something to the mix. The Space Force driven X-37B space plane went up for 908 days. Add them up, it's 17. Right before the 2020?
Right before the 2020.
Right after 2022.
Right.
For 908, which equals 17 days. I would almost, I can't prove it, but it seems like that would have been like headquarters for monitoring this.
Let me add to you. Go back to the speech Trump gave in November of 2022 at Mar-a-Lago. He said, hopefully tonight will be historic. That's night the spaceship came down at 1:40 in the morning.
And if it wasn't for us posting about it, nobody would know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've been called all kinds of names for pointing out this stuff myself for whatever reason. I don't care. Here's the information. Make up your own mind as to what you think the information is telling you. It told me that when CISA said the 2020 was the most secure election in history, it really was.
Yes. Donald Trump said it was.
What is it? Go back to when Trump, from the Oval Office, the last speech, he said, we wish for them to have luck. A very important word. Legally, if you're fortunate enough to complete your crime, you get a tougher penalty. We needed for them to complete the crime, right?
Yep.
All right.
And going back to your RICO, your RICO statements, you've got to establish pattern and practice. So it's like, why have these elections been stolen multiple times from us? Well, because it's a RICO case.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a massive international RICO case because remember, first of all, Dominion is actually owned by 3 Venezuelans, right? So, but this process has been used across the world. In fact, Julian Assange talked about it in the WikiLeaks, one of the first elections stolen. So you've got so much information here that is saying, wait, while it looks really bad, like they're not doing anything, they actually are. They're doing a lot. And part of it is, documenting the actual criminality beyond a reasonable doubt. What's the best way to get beyond a reasonable doubt? Here's the database of all the data that they took that day. Here's the proof. Here's the chain of custody. Here's everything.
Which makes 2016 and the post that you and I started talking about make a lot more sense to me. So they knew they were doing it then, and they had
everything. Right.
And they had to incriminate them.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think about that 2016, the actual post is from January 21st, 2018. But if you think about that 2016 post that went out onto Twitter, it was basically we're watching you, right? We know what you're doing.
And these dumbass ever
protect the battleground states. How do you protect the states unless you make sure that the firmware isn't corrupted? It's the only thing I can think of.
And when you are the quote unquote bad guy and you are backed into a corner, you have no choice but to try.
Right.
This is what's brilliant about this is they're caught, they know they're caught, and they don't have a choice but to still attempt to get away with it because they're caught.
Everything's on the line at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's I backed it up just a little bit.
Fun research on my part, I have to tell you, because every time I look at this, I find little more nuggets to put together. That's why I was giving you the timeline from 2008 through the Vatican, through Deltec Bank, with Bitcoin, the SHA-256, which Bitcoin uses. And it's like, okay, do you realize that every single data breach has been captured? Remember the 2021 Capital Pipeline breach?
Yep.
Yes.
Did you realize that within 2 months they recovered the Bitcoin? How did they do that exactly?
It's traceable.
Well, that goes into the NSA
Well, no, the 256 verifies transactions, right? All they had to do is wait for the money to move out of the wallet. Bam, you got it.
Okay, hold on. We'll get there then. Let's listen again to exactly what QSnatch does. I'm going to show a couple more straight up surface level Google screenshots, and then we'll get into exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Overriding the sources completely. It also disables any attempt of starting the QNAP malware remover app. It can turn off any or all the scheduled jobs on the device. It can also install any new modules on the device of the attacker's choosing. And it collects and then uploads all usernames and passwords on the device to the command and control servers operated by the attackers.
That's unbelievable to me. So
aren't you glad you talked to me yesterday morning?
Yes. Yeah. So this is what happens when you, I don't know if I can move this. I don't care. This is what happens when you just Google what's QSnatch, what does QSnatch do? So QSnatch is a malware strain that targets network attached storage, NAS, like Sarge was saying, devices made by QNAP. It's also known as Derek, which I found interesting. I didn't dig into this yet, but I found it interesting. QSnatch was used in the late 2019 and has affected thousands of devices worldwide, particularly in North America and Europe. Well, that's interesting in itself because we know our servers were in Germany. We know the stolen election was here. So QSnatch is a fairly sophisticated malware designed to steal credentials via CGI password logger, scrape credentials to provide attackers with SSH backdoor to exfiltrate data, including system configurations and log files, and to offer web shell functionality for remote access. This is what made me think of the X-37B. If there's a space plane floating around and there's remote access and it's run by Space Force and the NSA, they're accessing all.
Even if Space Force isn't running the remote access, if you know there was a GET request, then as Space Force, you can monitor for what that GET request was actually performing, because what it did is it once the GET request was confirmed, then it would perform certain duties, the malicious activity. All you had to do is monitor that. You can scrape it. You know exactly what it's doing and when. Like that thing said, if you see the GET request, you've got a compromised device. So if they knew what devices had the GET request, all you had to do is monitor it.
All right, this is where I need your help, being super research lady.
Okay, let me caveat. I am not a tech. So I understood enough to say that this SHA-256 algorithm, which by the way is developed by NSA, that's just coinky dink, right? Especially knowing it's used in Bitcoin, but it's developed by NSA. That SHA, and forgive me for people that are much smarter than me when it comes to this, but it basically encrypts with the 256 hash encryption line. So that if you know the key, then you have access to what it's encrypting.
So what is SHA-256? SHA-256 algorithm is one flavor of SHA-2, Secure Hash Algorithm 2, which is created by the National Security Agency, NSA, which I always find interesting because in the drops, it talked about the NSA being no such agency, which we believe to be Space Force because it didn't exist on paper yet.
No. Let me correct that.
Please do.
NSA, if you're in the DC area, you know about it. But we were always forbidden to mention the term NSA. If you're in DC, you know the term as the fort, right? The fort is, everybody knows that's the NSA. But we weren't supposed to talk about the agency. So no such agency is to that this agency, we don't talk about it.
Can you see why my thought process went to Space Force?
I saw where you went with it. That's why I wanted to add the rest of it.
Okay.
If I put out a job rec for a job at the NSA, I couldn't mention it was NSA.
I would argue with the intelligence level of Space Force would be the same thing.
Same, likely. But I'm just saying that no such agency, the fort, they all fit the NSA.
Which what's funny is it also makes me think of Forpog, who keeps putting out recruitment videos.
Yeah.
Right.
How do I sign up for Forpog?
Right.
I've got to wonder who made Q Snatch too.
They claim they don't know.
Yes, I can't find anything on it.
They claim they don't know. They know about when it started. They claim they don't know. I find it interesting. That's why I'm not ready to say that the NSA developed it. But
But imagine if they did. Right? They would essentially have a back door into their own program.
Right, but here's the thing. When did it first come on the scene? Right after Snowden took all that stuff from NSA. What were the timing is just uncanny, right? So basically, we got this Q Snatch out there, and they're saying, "Hey, hello, we're watching." So it's very likely. I mean, I would not be shocked if the NSA is the developer of the malware.
Did it end like LifeLog the same day that Facebook started?
Yeah.
What's funny? Okay.
Yeah.
I make that joke because people are still citing the news, right? That this can't be real because the news isn't talking about it. I mean, if you really truly break it down, the blackpilling comments that we get on social media are that. Like, if you break it all down, that's what they're saying. No, this isn't real. You're dealing in conspiracy theory because the TV isn't telling you. Well,
let me say this. I can be a conspiracy theorist. I'm sitting back here with a lot of popcorn, a couple of bottles of high-priced wine. I'm very comfortable with what's going on right now because my conspiracies gave me some data that says it's going to be okay, and I'm okay with that. I don't prefer to hand wring if I don't have to, and I'm not.
Well, I think this next clip will bring it all together. And I think that was the point of this clip. So you referenced, Feisty, when we started talking about this, Mike Lindell and Absolute Proof, this video. I would even go further and say that Mike Lindell had an obvious role to me as far as keeping election integrity on the forefront of the conversations happening in this country. There was 3 videos, 3 movies. There was a symposium. There was all of this crap that Mike Lindell risked everything him and his employees had to continue the conversation in this country. And if you understand 5th generation warfare, the conversation is the most important part. The narrative seeding within the mind of the American public. So for him to continue that conversation at the risk of looking like a complete ass, as many people think he is, I believe there's something to it. Not only that,
there's a fine line between crazy and genius, right?
Yes. Well, and that line becomes a little bit further when you don't think that he's close enough to be getting advice, and he is. We watched him walk in.
Something about his video, Absolute Proof.
Yeah, sure.
When they first talked about it, they said it was a 4-hour video, but it was only 3 hours. Something was held back. And then he does another video later on just going through.
Well, this one has to do with exactly what we were talking about with Q Snatch. Check this out.
Hack or attack that we had in this election.
That's right. So what you're watching is those objects moving are the actual files that are being received and sent.
These are the squares here that are being sent. So everybody out there, what you're looking at, I mean, this is the proof. So if like Antrim County, that case is still open, you just go, here you go. Now you know who did it, how many votes flipped, when they did it, what time they did it, the computer it came from, the country that attacked us. I mean, this is what I have been excited about, and I only seen one. You know, Mary, I only seen one little line of that, which showed the IP address, that all that stuff that you're showing us. When I found out that you had it for that we had it, that all these people had this for every single vote, every single attack, and whether it was successful or not. Look at right now, we got up on the screen. Georgia is just getting attacked. It was just getting attacked up here at that moment in time. And I suppose, they know what they're doing. They did the biggest attack right here. Look at everybody. Georgia and Michigan getting bombarded. My guess is that was probably like 3 or 4 in the morning when they really needed them votes to be flipped. Mary, this is incredible.
Yes, because there is proof positive. There's documentation of all the foreign interference into our election showing exactly who stole the vote, how they stole the vote, from which computers access to our election, to which computers they went into. So understand that cybersecurity experts that work for this country put all this in place before the election even started to make sure that they caught all of this information so that foreign adversaries were not deciding our elections.
Absolutely. And what a blessing that they were there for us to catch all this and to get all this put together, and even to have these, to be proactive. They were proactive, everybody. And what a blessing this is, because we came this close to never knowing. And this is actually a miracle that we have all this theory. And this is amazing.
So wait, hold on before you go. Promo code Rambo. Look, I want to pull up a clip of Donald Trump, but while I do that, I gotta do the podcaster thing. Guys, Kofefi.coffee. You can find Sarge, you can find me, you can find Pepe Deluxe, you can find now Carly Bonet is on there. Please go to Kofefi.coffee. Please support that way. If you see, there is a QR code in the upper right hand corner. I put that there because people that watch the replay asked me to. There are people that want to support the show that aren't able to make it to the live show. That is why you'll see the banner running at the bottom and the QR code. There is a Cash App. It is Rambo and Frens. So if you decide you want to support the show, nobody's required to. But if you want to, that's the way you can do it. And of course, my favorite way is always to just hit that positive affirmation button. Now, Donald Trump, you guys know how my brain works, right? So with all of this, I go to this clip. Donald Trump said some things that make me believe that everything Feisty and Sarge that we're talking about with this Q snatch crap is legit. And this was the clip that it flagged for me. So I want you guys to listen to this before we start to wrap things up. Listen to Trump.
Oh, no. And it happens a little bit like these maniacs back there. Trump is facing indictment. This is a Biden indictment. This was done by the Biden White House. This is not an indictment. This is a Biden. I challenge the election. I challenge. And we're releasing proof more and more. I want this to go.
What? What did you just say? Sarge.
Can I add to what he just talked about?
Yeah.
In 2016, every single Democrat claimed the election was stolen, that Trump won.
Yes.
And the reason why they did that is because Trump shouldn't have won. Remember Obama, how many times? Trump will never be president. And everybody's saying it. Because
Even Hillary.
the battleground states. Now you know how they did it. They made sure that those systems were not corrupted.
Yep.
Go ahead, Sarge. You have something to add?
No, I'm agreeing with everything. So we saw in 2020 that all you had to do was flip certain counties, right? And they could steal the election. And I mean, Feisty and I were up all night watching it in real time. Like we were watching Virginia here as they stole, they stole Northern Virginia.
That hadn't even started counting, remember?
Yeah. Yep. So
my brain wants to go in like 27 different directions when I talk to you guys. So, well, let's talk about Georgia. Okay, yeah, let's talk about Georgia for a second. Isn't that where Ruby Freeman? Is that where Ruby's from? And her daughter?
Yeah.
Her name was. If anybody needs confirmation that we're watching some sort of scripted show play out, you can pull the clip. You can go to my Twitter and you can find it. It was one of my favorites of Ruby in the same week that she came out and admitted that she was cheating, was also given a medal by Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, that ties exactly to what we're seeing. That ties exactly to Donald Trump's the pause speech. It ties exactly to everything we're seeing. So,
going back
to
when she's to when she's wheeling out the suitcases. Well, why would they have to replace ballots? And it really supports the idea that they did the electronic hack first to adjust the numbers, and then they had to create the paper trail in case they were audited.
Right.
And so when Georgia did the audits, right, their numbers, they claimed that there wasn't enough discrepancy to warrant invalidating.
And there's more to that story.
Results.
If you recall, they fought like the Dickens to prevent the 2020 census from closing. And the reason why is the algorithm they used was from the 2010 census. So they had to stay on the 2010 census.
Yep.
And that's the whole fraction magic story of Dennis Montgomery.
Hold on.
Exactly.
I'm getting rid of this one because I think this is absolutely important to see right now. So with what we're talking about, it gives a whole new light on things. Okay, so do you guys know Leah Hoops by chance? You know that name? Okay, so Leah Hoops is a young lady that is from Delaware County, which is where I'm fighting for my son. Leah Hoops has been on the show before. I hope to have her on again soon. She's also been on Steve Bannon, all over the place. Leah Hoops and Gregory Stenstrom have been fighting for the 2020 election in Delaware County and Philadelphia since 2020. They have recently had some wins in court. They are co-defendants with Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump. So when we talk about all this stuff with Q Snatch and all these things we talked about today, I think that this video that everyone's probably remembers, but I think it's important to watch again now that we've discussed and talked about what Mike Lindell presented to the country and what we now know was potentially happening technologically behind the scenes. So watch this real quick and tell me they don't have it all.
This is Jim Savage and James Allen discussing getting rid of the pads and second scanners.
Pads and the second scanner.
We got to talk about it now.
Wow.
What's wrong? What's wrong?
Here's Tom Gallagher again, lawyer for Delaware County, destroying voting machine tapes to bypass the right to know request.
And then let them try to figure out right what we did.
Mom, why do you have to rip it off? Makes you feel better?
We are just so many times, I didn't want anybody to pick it up and take the through stuff away.
Oh.
We're gonna have a little campfire going.
That was 4 times.
What we have here is evidence. What we have there is evidence. Right? Let them figure that out.
Yes, but what I don't understand, and this makes me nervous, is why tapes were being thrown away. So what is... No, you guys have been throwing away tapes. So what tapes are you throwing away? Like, why?
Because they're unidentifiable. There's no way they could,
But it's been that way since the November election, so why would you throw anything away? Because you have to save it for 22 months.
Well, let's put it this way. Yes, there are tapes that are being lost, but they are of no audit value. Of no audit value.
Now, hold on. I want to say something before you guys go, and I want to hear what you have to say about this. So, the reason I bring that up, and Leah will be mad at me if I say this, and I love Leah. Leah has been boots on the ground fighting from day one. Nobody will ever, close to me, discredit the work that that young lady has done. She means the world to me. She has done exactly what we have always taught, which is to get up, stand up, and do something about it. She's put her whole life on the line, right? But if I take a step back from that for just a second, and I protect my mind and control my emotions, and knowing what I know about the operation, she'll be mad at me if she hears me say this. Leah Hoops worked too hard, too quickly, and was going to expose them before they were allowed to be exposed. Because Leah Hoops fought for 3.5 effing years, and she's just now winning. All of the courts, none of the courts recognized anything that was brought, right? It was all thrown out due to merit. Well, if they had to be caught, and it wasn't, you're muted, Feisty. But if it had to be caught, and everything had to play out this way so that they could catch them all the way through, then Leah Hoops did work that was imperative to what we're doing because it kept people involved. What she did was so unbelievably important. However, she was also up against a timeline of people that had the same goal as her. That's frustrating.
There's more.
Go ahead. Tell me.
So if you go through, there's a court case from the late 1800s called Throckmorton. That Throckmorton case, that's where the word fraud vitiates everything, right? In that case, the only person that can bring a case like this to the Supreme Court is the Attorney General or his designee. Hello? So what you've also got to remember is there were all these cases brought and the courts threw them out without considering their merits. They just tossed them. So whenever the Supreme Court answered this, and Joe Biden himself said the pandemic ends when the Supreme Court ends it, all they've got to do with those cases that were never heard on their merits is put in a motion to reconsider. There you go.
Yep. And you've been saying that for the longest time, that you've been talking about Throckmorton since what, December of 2020,
November,
right? And
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and fraud vitiates everything, and then reminding everybody the entire time that the attorney generals are authorized to bring cases before the Supreme Court.
Go back to Ken Paxton. Remember, he filed that case with the Supreme Court, and Chief Justice Roberts says, "Well, tell us why you have standing." And remember his response. He came back and said, "You do not have standing. I have nothing further to say on the matter." Isn't that an odd response? And that's come out a couple of times over the course of the last few years. Because if he'd have said too much more, he would have had to recuse himself from the case that matters.
Yep.
So he just said, "You don't have standing." The Attorney General of Texas does not have standing before the Supreme Court on a case that, remember what Ken Paxton was trying to do. He's trying to get the Supreme Court to tell Pennsylvania to follow the election laws.
Yep.
He can't do that. The only person that can do that is the Attorney General of the United States. So what did Barr do? And this goes, can I shameless plug?
Please.
This goes into the COG-con. I put it all in there. Barr then says that John Durham is a special prosecutor. And I asked the question all through that channel, which Durham are we talking about? Durham Sr. or Durham Jr.? I'm believing it's Durham Jr. Durham is not the only game in town, right? That's a Q post.
Yep.
So if that's the case, then everything that happened in 2021 actually lines up.
Yeah, and it supports the idea that there's a sealed case,
Mm-hmm.
On the shadow docket of the Supreme
Something
Court.
happened in February of 2021. I will go to my grave with that because of the way Trump behaved at the CPAC speech in Florida. He was literally on the stage for exactly 131 minutes. He ran off the stage. You know how he normally stands around and he does his, and he's doing, he got done talking and literally runs off the stage at exactly 131 minutes. During the speech, he kept saying, "What happened at 3:02 in the morning?"
Yep.
Nothing. I checked. They didn't stop the count. Remember Mike Lindell between 3 and 4? They stopped the count at 3:42, uploaded all the new data, and then moved on. 3:42. Trump kept saying, "What happened at 3:02? I mean, Joe, go look at post 131.
Yep.
Put it up on the screen for all to see.
Everybody say bye to YouTube.
You can't make it up. It's there. And then right after that, you get the spoliation letter from Durham to Ty Covington.
Okay. It's NatSec briefing 3:02 a.m. Please stand by. Q.
Please stand by. You can't make it up.
But Feisty, the first drop said Hillary was going to get arrested, and it didn't happen. So Q's got to be false.
Times, if people would step back and look at that decode, please tell me how anybody can consider a post dropped at 3:33 with a 111 delta And the first Q post at 4:44 is all by accident.
Yep.
It doesn't happen that way, right? There's a deeper meaning into post one. I've gone through that a million times. I know people want to walk past it, but I'm sorry, there's too many correlations in the drops not to catch it.
I've told you about this before, I think. Do you remember when I mentioned that Brian Cates told me not to date fag, but he thought it would be quite possibly the most brilliant Q proof ever, that if on that Delta coming up next year, that were to become public.
Which post one?
Yeah, hold on. I'll pull it up if you want me to. So post one's Delta drop number one.
Right. The Delta, so Q is responding to a post that was posted at 3:33. He responded 1 hour 11 minutes later at 4:44. Right?
Yep.
Correct.
1644, yeah.
Okay, what if you understand the Clinton Foundation and the Biden Foundation investigations? He's not inaccurate here. He also, if you remember, Q says that Hillary's ties have been cut. She's fighting for her life. So what is it about? This is about the laundering through the foundations, which is the Clinton Foundation investigation, the Biden Foundation investigation, and dare I say the FTX investigation. It's how they laundered money. So it's more than Hillary Clinton. It's more than that. This is big money. These are the money to lead around the world, the big business, the foundations, all of that. This is how the money moved from point A to point B to pay for all the criminality. This is how we blackmailed people. That's where you get the money from. This is how you bribed them. That consequential post.
I'm not crazy in thinking that the FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried thing was public disclosure of something happening deeper.
It was a sting. I'm pretty sure it was a sting catching, because most of that is, they're Bitcoin transactions, right? It was tracing the laundering. So what's interesting, when you go backwards to the Clinton Foundation, you're talking about the Clinton Global Initiative, which was, by the way, stood up by Doug Brand and Jeff Epstein, right? It's like the umbrella over the Clinton Foundation. The money came in through the Global Initiative and then got dispersed through the foundation. That closed down January 15th of 2017. 2 weeks later, the Biden Foundation opens up. FTX opens up, starts business in May of 2018. 2 weeks after that, Biden Foundation closes down. You're literally transferring the money from investigation to investigation.
Yep.
That's so awesome.
I know it's mind blowing, isn't it? She told me about that a while back as FTX was unraveling, and I was like holy crap! Like, and once you see it, the way that they use those foundations.
Okay, come on, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So if we're gonna play with the wordplay, can I ask you this, Feisty? We didn't talk about this, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. Bernie Madoff with the money.
He made off.
He did.
But what I'm getting at is has this been going on that long?
Yes.
Yep.
In fact, you talked about it. What are the foundations used for?
Hold on, wait for it. Go ahead. All right, play with my new toy. That's crazy to me. That's most people. Okay. When I talk to you and you're so well researched and you understand what's going on, and you tell us the same things that people like Smart Paul and JF9, who like to, as Beer says, climb out onto the weakest branch on the tree with a saw and sit on it and then saw on the inside of the tree until they drop to the ground. When all of these things start to line up, it becomes more than coincidence. It becomes a whole lot of people with a bit of an obsession to research and look into these things. that are absolutely, in my opinion, uncovering stuff that the mainstream media is leading you away from.
Right. Everything the media is doing is a distraction. And I have my theories as to, yes, the news is fake, right? The war is real, the news is fake. All through the Q posts. The war is real. We are in World War III. The news is fake. But I'm going to go back to 2015. I'm missing the date in my head, and I can just hear everybody in my chat room going, "What? She doesn't remember?" But in 2015, Obama had several media personalities over at the White House, and the fake news started to hype up right after that. So we know about the Smith-Mundt. We know all about that. My view says you can do that two ways, right? Yes, it grants license for the media to tell you a lie, but it also grants license for the media to spin a story so that you don't look into these bigger cases. You don't dig any deeper into these cases and chance ruining evidence for a major case. Remember, we're not just America in this story. This is an international thing that's going on. It's more than just the U.S. So it could go both ways. Do I know for sure? No, we're not going to know until the curtain call, right? But I'm pretty confident that some of the media out there has been purposefully withholding some information to keep us distracted. I called the House impeachment, January 6th, and the impeachment stuff, distraction central, right? I called the 4 federal cases against Trump plus the DA Bragg one. I called that all distraction. Trump's at the center and the heart of both of those. Could the distraction be a way to keep the public occupied? Well, some really serious stuff is being done in the background.
Yep.
If I can find some of this information I'm presenting to you, it's not really, it's not PhD level information I'm finding, right?
I want to. This is off topic, just something to show real quick, and move on. But I think it proves your point. It's my favorite recent Q proof, right? So recent being the last 2 years. Something after the drop stopped that blew my mind. It was my present Q proof, right? So like you guys were all there for hundreds of them. And this was mine when I saw it. And I was active in the movement, put my face out there, and I saw this. And I think it proves what you're saying. On January 7th, McCarthy won Speaker of the House. When did he win? On the 15th vote. Who was the final vote? Bob Good of Virginia. Can anyone give me a rational explanation as to how any of this is possible? I don't know why I wrote 17 years.
Because he won on the 17th vote.
Yes, that's what I meant. 17 votes. I'm not sure. This is an old post. Robert Good. Robert Good was the final vote.
Good win 15. Yeah, or maybe it was the 15 round. And now I'm
it was the 15th. I remember it like it was yesterday. That's why I don't know why I wrote 17 years. It was. I'm not sure why I wrote that.
Was Bob Good because he's from Virginia? Was he in Congress for 17 years?
I can't remember. I don't remember that part. January 7th. I don't remember why I wrote that part, but the rest is undeniable in itself. So Robert Good was the final vote, 15 votes, and it was shortly after midnight.
Right.
It was. I don't even think it was an hour, if I remember right. Shortly after midnight.
Or we were up all night waiting for it.
Right. So Good win in 15 votes. And the freaking drops on an exact freaking 5-year delta said this. So there's exactly.
I don't understand the movie reference, right? When we go back to the one post you put up about the 6 years, the previous 2, next 6, it says right under there, pre-planned.
Yeah.
People are not understanding the movie reference. It also supports you can't tell people, you have to show them.
I mean, it kind of goes back to the meeting that McCarthy had with Trump,
Right.
right? Going back in what was it, January of 2021,
With the
or
tie, the lack of the tie. Do you know when not
yeah,
wearing a tie, it means business negotiations are over, right?
yep.
Okay, back up for just a second. There's exactly zero reason on any rational plane that 5 years prior to the exact day that Q could write that without some level of control. And if you go to the drops, you will understand that it's all pre-planned, like Feisty just said. So if it's all pre-planned and they can land something on an exact day, 5 years after it was posted on Q, I have zero understanding why people can't understand that Donald Trump is telling you the truth when he tells you the news is fake. And like what Feisty just said, the war is real and the news is fake. If you can come to that realization and grasp that, then everything becomes very clear.
Well, I think part of the problem for a lot of people is the now comes the pain in 23, right? Which we recognize is now 2023, which was pretty painful. But if you look at what has happened since 2020, especially with the lockdowns and then the vaccines in 21 and 22, when you see all of this play out, there's been a lot of people that have been personally impacted. And I think what the hard part is in not just understanding the movie reference, but the fact that we really are in a World War III. The news is fake, the war is real. We really are. I mean, they couldn't do a kinetic war because there's a gun behind every blade of grass, right? So the PSYOP war goes both ways. Both sides can use the psychological operation methodology, and we're caught in the middle. And as frustrating as it is, and as painful it is for people to understand, as the dust settles, and I believe it's settling real soon because that was most of Trump's speech last night. As the dust settles, people understand when you're in a war, you do the best you can to account for everybody's safety, knowing you can't possibly ensure everybody's safety.
You know, I'm trying to put a thought together here, but I want to prove it.
Go ahead, Sarge.
You're Sarge.
Guy.
Kind of reflecting on all this right now, and trying to understand how one could possibly be able to look into the future like that. But I'm also considering how we look back into the past.
Right.
Maybe there's a relationship between the two. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I got something for you.
Yeah. This was definitely all pre-planned though.
Yes.
So one of Donald Trump's key talking points when he does his rallies now is that we didn't start any new wars, right?
Right.
We talk about peace through strength. We talk about peace in the Middle East. We talk about the fact that Donald Trump didn't start any new wars. At the same time, Donald Trump said things like this.
That this team and me are here for this horrible thing. I mean, it's a number of people have said it, and I feel it actually. I'm a wartime president. This is a war.
There you go.
A different kind of a war that we've ever had. I want to say that I know that this is a challenging time for all Americans. We're enduring a great national trial, and we will prove that we can meet the moment. I want to assure the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible, invisible enemy. We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war. Mm-hmm. And we're fighting an invisible enemy. Think of that. That this team and me.
Mark Milley got up there and said, we're at war.
Yeah.
Yep.
He literally said that. So if you know this and you know that COVID was, okay, first of all, there's something odd about COVID. And that's my my 11.3, 11.4 decode, which a lot of people disagree with, but nobody's come up with a better solution other than Law of War manual. And I'm just saying, if you look at what happened with COVID and what is warp speed about, and you know the Q post, there's two Q comments that really stick out to me. Maybe someday people will understand they had another mass extinction event planned. That's not COVID. And then if you knew, could you live with yourself if given an easy way out? There's your gray hats. Right? So yeah, I'm sitting here looking at this, and then I go back. 11.3. What is 11.3? Mirror that. 3.11. That's the day the WHO declared a worldwide pandemic. 11.4. What is that? 4.11 is the day that all 50 states declared an emergency. First time in history.
That makes me want to ask you a question. Do you remember when it looked like a convention of states outside the White House? When there was a whole bunch of people carrying flags? What was that? In your opinion, what was that?
I don't know. I think I can't. I've often looked at the video of what was going on. No, I don't want to hazard a guess because I really don't know.
I understand because I don't know. And it's such an intriguing video and nothing's ever really been told to us. But your comment made me think of it.
So intriguing about it. And don't think I haven't sat and thought about it. In fact, usually when it's like an earworm, right? It gets in there and I can't get it out. And thank you very much for getting it back in there because now I got to go back and look again. But I don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay. I think this is a clip everybody's seen, but I think that it kind of wraps up the whole idea of what we're talking about. One more clip.
Pillar of our new strategy is a shift from a time-based approach to one based on conditions. I've said it many times, how counterproductive it is for the United States to announce in advance the date.
Ah, shit. Did I just curse? My first thumbs down. I get thumbs downs right away if I curse. Come on, Trump.
We intend to begin or end military options. We will not talk about numbers of troops or our plans for further military activities. Conditions on the ground, not arbitrary timetables, will guide our strategy from now on. America's enemies must never know our plans or believe they can wait us out. I will not say when we are going to attack, but attack we will.
All right. Oh. Still going. Hey, let me interject there real quick and just add something. So what stood out to me, like very clearly, is that he's focusing on conditions, right? So meaning that there are variables at play. As variables change, that will alter the response and the tactics and procedures, right? So that's very coming from I came from a Army modeling and simulation background, and that sounds a lot like that. Like they have war gamed, come up with different courses of action based on how the variables might change.
Yeah,
right? Versus a time-based approach.
Mm-hmm. Which reminds me of the Q post where you said, you're not prophets. Telling us about date fagging, which none of us could resist doing.
Right. It tells us that whatever we think is, could be on a timetable is wrong because we're dealing with a lot of moving pieces. So if you pull this lever, well, this is going to happen. You pull this lever instead, this is going to happen.
Well, it also shows you that in real time they could update the battle plan, right? They've war gamed everything. They've got it all down to a science to the best of your ability. But you have to be able, in any good project plan, which is what a battle plan is, you have to be able to shift as the conditions dictate. And that's what Trump is talking about.
And what are those conditions? Well, it goes back to an action will generate a reaction, right? So if Trump's team does something, then his opposition is going to do something else. Can they guarantee?
Right?
Yeah. Can they guarantee exactly what the opposition is going to do? No, but they can probably understand enough of actions they might take, and then kind of plug those into the algorithm or simulation to generate the possible output.
Yeah, as you're looking at everything that's going on, and then going back to last August when Trump said we had hoped it would get done sooner, you get the clear sense that something changed between 2021, 2022 timeframe, late 20, maybe fall of 2022, between fall of 2022 and when he talked in August of 2023, something changed in there. Something pretty big happened. What it is, we got to wait for the curtain call, if we ever know. But something happened.
Yeah.
This is so fun. So let's I don't want to call it date fagging, but did you see the post? Maybe I should do it this way. I don't even know where it is. I could probably pull it up while I ask this question. I'm pretty stuck on this post that I've used a whole bunch of times. This will be the last thing I think I want to ask you guys before we get out of here today. But Donald Trump said something when he went and visited the wall in early 2020, if I recollect correctly. And what he said was near the end of his talk, which there was a guy in the do you remember the guy with the jersey with the 45 on? Okay.
I referenced that speech.
Yes. Yeah. So to me, the most important part of that speech, and I use it a lot because I know that Donald Trump always ends up being proven right. But at the end of that speech, he said that the 25th Amendment, because they were attacking him, sidebar, but the 25th Amendment is of no risk to me. However, it will come back to haunt Joe Biden and the Biden administration.
Right.
And I've used it, I don't know, 20 times
in
my posts. Do you know what Trump just did?
Mm-hmm.
So you know about the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Let me explain for everybody, and then hold that thought, and then you go. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump just came out in the Truth Social post, and he said, in respect to Joe Biden and the Biden administration, allowing for armed police officers to go in and raid Mar-a-Lago, which is brand new information for us. Crazy timing that you now tell us that they were authorized to shoot to kill as they went in and sniffed Melania's underwear. And Donald Trump's now here at the time where he's taken. Here's another amazing point. He's taken the opportunity to debate Joe Biden before either one of them are chosen as either one. That doesn't happen. They don't debate until after they are chosen to be the nominee. So why the hell are we debating before either one of them are nominated as their parties?
Can I jump in?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm sitting here chomping at the bit.
Yes.
So the debate is the 27th. Trump keeps saying that Joe's basically doesn't know he's alive. He's been shot. Right?
Yeah.
The 25th Amendment, there's 3 situations that are covered under that. Death, disability, or removal. Death, disability, or removal.
So I think he's dead. I'll just put it out there.
Saying that. I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I know that they are using doubles. We've talked about that before, but I don't know. All I know is if Joe suddenly ends up not alive, I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm just gonna. I don't care what people think of me. Joe Biden's shot. He doesn't know he's alive. He's got like half his head left. He doesn't know it's him. I can
You've
go on.
gone down the stairs, not up.
Yeah, right. Well, he's now crooked because Hillary used to be crooked, but now she's beautiful.
Because now
And
she's angel, beautiful Hillary. Beautiful angel Hillary. Which
not just-
told you we moved from the Hillary investigation to the Biden Foundation investigation, right?
Right. And everyone's like, "You're crazy. That's Joe Biden." I'm like, "The news is fake. Shut up." I don't know. Go
Well,
ahead.
do you recall when let's see, we had the Secretary of Defense goes in for surgery. He goes missing for a while, but then last year Joe Biden had surgery
Nobody knew.
to remove a cancerous tumor.
Do you remember when he stepped on his dog's tail and he twisted his ankle and he had to wear a medical boot? And then
Well,
boot on the
before
wrong foot.
inauguration fell off his bike.
Biden falls. That was on Google Maps for a while. Biden falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right next to that house, by the way, McLean is right next to the CIA campus.
It's getting pretty ridiculous at this point. I think that the Q snatch thing is super, super interesting. I think that it aligns a lot with the X-37B space plane.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I don't think that we're going to be given absolute proof like Mike Lindell's video, but I think that enough of this should influence your discernment to see that there's things that are happening.
I actually don't agree with you. I think we will be given the true story. Because as revealed, we've got to know.
Well, I don't think I meant in the future. I meant up till now. We're being given. We're being given enough. Look, if people like you, we're being given enough to see, but we're not being given enough to prove in court.
Right.
Where I think that we will be given, I think that they're going to prove it in court.
I think it's already been. Oh, that's conspiracy theory still.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
My bad.
Hey, we've got to come back next week to discuss the drop yesterday on the CIA files and James Baker.
Awesome files yesterday.
Yeah,
but we're running out of time.
We'll go. Well, why don't you? Can you tease it?
I can't. Well, let's just say there's some really intriguing information in those CIA files that pair up, but not quite tell the whole story of what I found in the mega files dropped on the mid-year investigation, the FOIA information. And I haven't gone through everything, but I got slides that pair up with everything because I'd already been through that 4,000 plus pages.
Yep.
I love you too.
All I can say is it's another case about Feisty being right.
It feels so good, but yeah.
I will say that I am more than grateful to have you on my team, Feisty. You too, Sarge. This goes for everybody that comes on my show. But I will say, Feisty, your research and the way you present it when you come on the show is second to none. I love you for what you do. I truly mean that. I've said it before. I want to say it again.
I thank my chat room though, because it's become a joke that I have to tell them 17 times before they understand it. So I need to practice how I present it.
Well, well, this is what Rise Together means, right? So yesterday you gained a whole bunch of followers, and
my God, over 1,000 in 24 hours. That's never happened before.
Well, and that's because we're a team, right? So Sarge made a post to make sure that people knew who you were. I made a post because you and I were digging all morning. This is what the movement is about: unity. So,
well, I really appreciate it because I'm sitting at my phone, and it's been through this whole chat, by the way. I get a constant very low tone ding, ding. It's been going crazy since the post yesterday between you and Sarge, what you did. And I'm sitting here going, this has never happened before. What the hell is going on? I've been sending screenshots to Sarge going, what the fuck? Excuse my
Yeah,
thumbs down. Everybody thumbs down.
well, yeah, because you've been stuck. You've been stuck for a long time. But
Joe, before you started having me on, I was under 1,000 followers. So I don't know, and I'm not sitting here trying to, I'm not looking for hundreds of thousands of followers. It's not that. It's just I saw something happening yesterday I couldn't explain. It's blowing me away. It's like, what the hell went out? I don't understand what went out, because I'm now over 1,000 followers up from yesterday morning when we talked. And then of course, Sarge, as Friends Feisty always says, or says numerous times, the hardest pill to swallow is the one you thought you already swallowed. That's going viral. Your post is going viral, and I'm getting all these dings, and just blew me away.
You deserve.
Oh, yours is. I think Joe's eclipsed mine. Mine got some views, but yeah, Joe gets way more views than I get. Unless I get retweeted by Alex Jones, and then all hell breaks loose.
I never expect to get retweeted by anybody. So I mean, it still blows me away. I just was not ready for that.
There's a lesson here. There's a lesson here for the movement. First of all, I think that we should all make sure that we are friends and we support each other. Once everything survives, once everything comes to fruition that we believe is going to come to fruition, I think that we don't stop. Then we get back to real life issues, right? We can go talk about parasites again, or we can go talk about not that we're not now, but you see what I'm saying? We can go talk about surfing or sports, and we can come together as a community. I don't think this ever stops if we do it correctly. And I'm getting at.
Go ahead. I was going to say, we have to be able to, when this is over, because we're all going through the suck together, there has to be a period of enjoyment where we can kind of all celebrate together, and maybe at that time, we can actually, focus on meeting up in real life, and doing the face-to-face meets, like that would be fantastic. Like I've met so many great people in this movement, and I would hate to be stuck behind a screen for the entirety of that.
We're already planning the after party. It's in Italy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do. I don't know if I'm allowed to go to Italy or not. But look, I think the ultimate goal in the end, if you were to simplify it all the way, break it all the way down, I believe that unity and free thought are two of my most important things. And all of the issues, if you can we can all come together, and we can all have the respect of understanding that we all have free thought and our own discernment, and we can have conversations with respect and love, and we can come to the best conclusion as a society on any topic there is. Mm-hmm. So I believe that that's what we're being taught. I believe there is an ascension process going on right now. Mm-hmm. And anything that's entered into this movement as divisive, that's designed to separate us, goes against that. So those are the things that I shut down and slide to the side. Go make a sandwich. I got bigger things to do. Love you, just like everyone else, but I'm not engaging in that bullshit. There's another thumbs down. Anyway, I think that that's the ultimate goal. And Feisty, to come full circle, I got your back, girl, forever. I think that the work you've done is underseen in this movement at this point. Yeah. So I'm gonna
on my end.
Well, I'm gonna continue to keep putting you on any platform I'm involved with. Sarge, I know you talked about doing something coming up about music and your friend. You wanna tease that?
No, medical. Well, yeah. I mean, I've got a music project that I'm working on, but no, we got a medical thing that we're coming out with. Yeah, my friend has made a pretty big discovery We're still researching and trying to put stuff together. But I see another like completely different protocol from the parasite protocol. I see something else being built that is, that I think will help a lot of people.
Well, good. I'm excited about it. Definitely keep up with me on back channels so we can do that.
Yep.
Feisty.
Yes. As soon as my friend is ready to release the research, once it's all, once she's gone through it all, then we will be putting it out, and then we definitely want to come on here to go over it.
Well, as long as I got a free day, the door's open to anything either one of you want to do. That is for sure. I'm hoping. I don't know if Feisty or Sarge, either one of you. I wanted to ask while you were talking about it, Feisty, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Do you have the link to the page that your Directive 51 and all the? Can we put that in the chat of at least Rumble, if not more?
Well, can you do it for me?
Sure.
I can do it as soon as I
let
find
me-
it.
I would like to drive traffic there because I think what you did is unreal.
Here's the link.
That's a wrong word. It's completely real, but it's unreal on the level that not enough people are aware. So did you just put it in the private chat?
Can I just boast about it for a minute?
Please do.
Okay, I promise not to take long. So I've been on the Throckmorton Directive 51 train since November of 2020. I heavily dug into, started watching events, and was told in no uncertain terms, stand back. And other theories took over. And I kept saying, no, that's not right. That's not right. That's isn't how it works. Well, on May 3rd, Boone Cutler posted National Security Directive 51 to his X account, which is the Bush 2 continuity plan from May of 2007. And I've been on that train from the beginning. There is no way that you were going to use 3 successive presidencies to build, enhance, and completely develop a continuity plan for the government should it face an existential threat and not use it. I mean, it's just logic. So when Boone put that out, it was like, oh my gosh, finally I can talk about it. So I stood up this Telegram channel with all of the information in there about why I think it's in play, the dates I think each of the levels hit. I go through some, my level decoding. So there may be other people that do different type of decoding, but my reasoning through why I think it's in play. And I, just laid out all the information as I know it. It's not the same as the devolution theory. Sorry, folks, it's not. But it does lay out what I think is in play that got us through the storm of the war. What's the storm? The war. So that's my thought.
Well, I think that you're over the target, to say the least, when it comes to that. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. So we just did I put Feisty's link on all, at least 3. I put it on Pilled, I put it on Rumble, I put it on X. I did not put it on YouTube. I don't pull YouTube up yet, but I will be soon. If YouTube keeps growing, I will. We got to get to over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube for it to be beneficial to continuing to make this show grow. I love that there's some people that only go over there. I do worry every day that I'm going to get kicked off, but we're still up. I still got a green check mark I'm looking at right now.
Well, Jesse's gone, don't worry.
I'm sorry? What did you say?
Well, Jesse's gone, don't worry.
Yeah. We'll see. I hope it continues to grow because we're almost at 800, and if we get to 1,000, then I feel like we're like the new pioneers of YouTube, where we're talking about things that they didn't let happen before, and somehow, what are we at? So I'm at like 780 or 790 on YouTube, and so far so good. And every show I joke about saying goodbye to YouTube. And they haven't kicked me yet. So
a long time ago.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
YouTube disappeared in 21 with my Instagram, which I found out is back up, but my Instagram, my Twitter, my YouTube, they're all gone.
I'm wondering.
Do you get a lot of views on YouTube?
Anywhere between 100 and 400.
Okay, so
That's actually pretty decent for having only 700 followers.
Yeah, I think it's great. Honestly, Feisty and Sarge, your guys' shows do the best on YouTube for sure.
No kidding.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Look, it's something that's there. I hope that it continues to grow. I hope that they allow. What I'm worried about right now is I'll get to 1,000, I'll monetize, and they'll boot it.
Yeah,
I never monetized and I got booted, so I don't know what's indicative.
Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen, but we'll see. That's why I don't. I love anyone that's out there. I'm doing it in hopes to reaching those people, but I don't have high hopes for YouTube just leaving me talk like this or any of you talk like this. We'll see. We'll see.
If you get booted, you can wear it as a badge of honor.
Right.
Can I
I think
please
that's
drop
what
the
most of
link?
us are doing, right? Did you get booted? It was your day of birth, right?
So Tracy Scott, you just asked if I can please drop the link to Rumble. I'll try, but the Rumble page is super simple. It's Rambo and Frens, Frens, one word. Rambo and Frens on Rumble. The Rumble is the one that I've pushed the most. Pill.net is brand new today for this platform. I'm excited to be back on there. I was on there when I was brainstorming. The new platform just finally got up on Pilled, so I'm super excited about that. But yeah, Rambo and Frens, one word. Friends is spelled without the I. So it's a Pepe reference that I love. And I didn't even realize when I did it that it was so close to Feisty and Friends, but Feisty uses the I.
Yeah, but you gave me credit, so that's good.
Nah, it is cool though, because I absolutely adore you. So I hope you took it as a compliment.
Well, thank you.
All right. Is there anything else? I'm gonna stay on just a little bit so I can do like some of the cleanup stuff. But is there anything else you guys want to say before we get out of here today?
Nope. I'm done.
No, the
Did my
pleasure as
mic-
always.
Yeah, bro, you're awesome. Feisty, you're awesome.
Talked about what you wanted us to talk about. That's so we accomplished the checklist.
I know. Sometimes we don't.
I know.
Sometimes it just ends up going in the direction it goes. All right. Well, you guys are absolutely the best. I'm gonna bring you guys down. I'm gonna do some of the cleanup stuff. If you're still here, I'll hang out with you for just a couple minutes. But the kids are starting to come in, and I got a scooter to put together, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, I absolutely love you guys. We'll do this again. I'll talk to you back channels.
No, I just saw Sarge's question. Sarge, I'm not ready to completely talk about Baker yet, but because there's more that I found. But when I do, I
Gotcha.
will.
Yeah, let's try and reconvene next week and discuss that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Whatever. I can do it. Anyway, thank
All
you
right.
again. I love being on your show. It's fun.
All right. Good. All right. We'll do it again soon.
Yes, sir.
Love you guys. Bye.
Later, brother.
Bye. Well, that was awesome as usual. I hope the production level has come up a level. Right? Listen to that. Beautiful. Anyway, I wanted to do just a couple things. I don't like messing with the conversation, interrupting the conversation with sponsors and stuff, although I would be doing a great disservice not to say thank you. So I did drop the link for Kofefi.coffee in the chats. All three that I've been dropping links on X, on Rumble, and on YouTube. But here is the website. So it's Kofefi.coffee. This venture is amazing. I hope that everybody that drinks coffee goes out and tries it. You are going to find that it's very high quality. Somebody that was just added to the list has been on this show, Carly Monet. I highly suggest going and supporting her. Mindy's Pumpkin Spice. There is a whole bunch of new ones on here. There's Julian's Rum. Love that dude. Absolutely awesome, right? Just saw Patriot AU over on my buddy's channels. There's Kate's. All these guys have been on this show. There's Sarge, was just here. But you will see everybody that you love on this group. Oh, who's that guy? Oh, that's Rambo's. Of course, I hope you try that one the most. But please support Kofefi.coffee. Any one of these guys, I love absolutely every single one of them. So with that being said, I also want to thank Mike Lindell, who was a huge topic today. If you go ahead and go use promo code Rambo to buy any one of his products, I have used just about all of them, as I've been lucky enough that when he supports you, he also sends you a few things. So we got pillows, we got dog beds, we got slippers. I got a robe. There hasn't been one thing except for the dog bed that I've had to throw away, but that's because I had 4 dogs. So those dogs tore that thing up. It took about a year. So I can't blame the dog bed. 4 dogs, but the dog bed was awesome and the dogs loved it while I was here. Otherwise, every single product I am still using to this day. Please go use promo code Rambo for Mike Lindell. And that being said, I also have a few things coming up next week. Tuesday's show is up in the air. I am hoping, you know what? I'm going to leave that one be a teaser. Monday's a holiday, so I'm going to do family stuff. But Tuesday, there is going to be a show. It's kind of up in the air between 2 people, but I promise you something amazing. And then the 30th on Wednesday, we have something something I am truly excited about. So on the 30th, which I believe, that's Thursday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Thursday, we have Stormy Patriot Show and Absolute 1776 coming. OMG, is it going to be awesome? I am really excited about that. So I hope that everybody comes and shows up for the 3 days. I have shows next week. I will announce Monday and Tuesday here shortly, as soon as they are completely confirmed. And Wednesday is going to be up. So thank you all very, very much for hanging out. Thank you for the support. This is the other reason I did this. I thought of it earlier. But I wanted to thank everybody on pill.net. For the very first show, there has been 82 people that stopped in. There has been 20 red pills taken. I thank you very, very much. And as far as the gold pills go, I'm going to go over a few just one more time. Your boy Death said, "Oh snap, Rambo's on Foxhole." Yes, sir, I am. Patriots of Flight gifted a cookie. Thank you very much for the cookie. Matrix Codebreaker said, "Did someone say autistic?" LOL. What's up, Rambo? What's up, Matrix? And Poonslayer gifted a cookie. And your boy Death. The definition of SHA 256 is like listening to Terrence Howard to me. LOL. Okay, your boy Death. Listen, I'm glad you were here, and I appreciate the support. I don't know if this is even going to do anything today, but I'm going to try to release the scratch off. I don't know, because I haven't really gotten that many gold pills. But for anybody that's still over there on pill.net, the scratch off is released. Boom. All right. So we'll see you next week. I love you guys. I love your faces. I love your brains, and I love your butts. Something I've always said. It's something I'll probably continue to say. And with that being said, we are out of here. See you next week.